So the first question is, our school district is asking us to get feeding goals from a feeding expert for our son's IEP. Is this normal? Should we ask them to pay for this? This is our first IEP. Our son is entering kindergarten.
Well, is this normal? Do school districts try to get parents to pay for things that they're supposed to pay for if they think they can get away with it? Sometimes. Is this a medical service? Yes. Can the district be required to pay for medical services if they're necessary to offer FAPE? Well, there are instances in which the district will have to do a medical assessment. I'm assuming feeding has an educational impact at school, because if you can't get food in the person, they're going to get low blood sugar and it's going to interfere with their concentration. Do you have insurance that would pay for a feeding evaluation? If you don't, are you a regional center client? If you're not, I think you got to go back to the district and say, this is how feeding affects my child at school. You seem to agree with me since you're telling me to get a feeding out evaluation. I'm all for that, but I don't have any way to get it that's free. So I need you to give me a list of people that you will pay for me to consult with and get a feeding evaluation so we can move this along.
It's a very interesting world we live in, isn't it? Like, it's the first time I'd ever heard a parent ask that. So I was a little like, oh, that's interesting.
But
Okay.
well, we know that CARD has pioneered the whole field of feeding issues as not being really a separate and apart from autism problem. It's part of the cognitive stickiness.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you can't eat all day, or you need medicine at school to function and you can't get it, I mean, these are problems that definitely have an educational impact. And remember, whenever we're talking about a service under the IDEA, we are always having to justify not just that there's a need for the service generally, but that in order to access the curriculum, you need the service. And if you don't get the service, it'll have an educational impact. And we've talked about educational impact being broader than just academics. It can include vocational issues, social emotional functioning, and so on. It's really always just interesting for me to see what the backstory is when the lawyer isn't involved. There's certain things that they say that they would not say if they understood that the parent actually did have resources and was checking it all out.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the second question. I recently discovered that other children were getting one-to-one tutoring and other services during the shutdown that my son was not getting. He was not getting most of his services, and I assumed that this was the way for everyone. Not so. When I found out and called the school, they said they would like me to talk to a mediator. This has never happened before, and I don't know what to expect.
Okay, well, apropos all of this, hold on, sorry. Apropos all of this, it is interesting when they pull a client into mediation. And I actually was talking to another mom, Shannon, who listened to the show, and she's got the same thing. She's got the same thing going on. And I found it very interesting that the district wanted to use a mediator. The particular mediator that's being used is somebody who has a reputation with me for being school biased, which makes sense since the school pays the mediator's salary. And it started to feel a little bit like the mediator's leaning on somebody to accept something. Well, the problem is if you sign a settlement agreement with the district, and obviously there's not going to be a mediator unless there's a settlement agreement, that's what the mediator is for. How do you know what your 2 years of claims that you're waiving are worth? It definitely sounds to me like you are entitled to, and they are thinking that you're entitled to compensatory education and that they're going to try to get you into a quick settlement. So you waive all claims. What I recommend, though, is that you not do that. You take advantage of the opportunity to have a consultation with somebody who can tell you what you should be settling your case for. Because once you've settled it, they're going to include language in the release that says, I've had an opportunity to consult with an attorney and I'm signing this out of my own free will. Once you sign that thing, it's done. So they do owe you compensatory education. You should start thinking about what compensatory education you feel is warranted, and you should put that in writing to them. But again, if it's a lot of services, and we are talking about at least 4 months, maybe it's not really okay to do this thing in a solo fashion.
Yeah.
At the
Right.
bare minimum, I would have an attorney review the settlement agreement.
Okay. Great advice.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.